Alolan Sandslash, a huge core breaker for the team. We pivot into Pidgeot, which also has a losing matchup. The opponent fires off the Ice Punch, which lands for over half our HP, then pivot into Gator. We're going to force in the Brave Bird. Does the opponent respect the damage? Welcome back to the channel. Since the introduction of Shadow Pidgeot, it has been by far one of my favourite Pokemon to shoutcast in the Open Great League due to its huge boom potential. In just a matter of days, Season 19 will be drawing to a close and the longly awaited Season 20 will be here, with one of the biggest move rebalances we have ever seen in Pokemon Go, which is pretty exciting stuff for a lot of Pokemon unless you're using Wing Attack. Today we're going to be sending Shadow Pidgeot off over in the horizon in style, booming the Great League meta one last time. Speaking of Season 20, there are so many mon to cover. So what I'm going to be doing next season is member-only polls. You can join the channel membership for just 99p and you can select what Pokemon you want to see first. Well, that's obviously for next season. Huge shout out to T-Dubs for the battle submission, and without any further ado, let's get into the battles. And in game one, today's highly talented battler, the appropriately named T-Dubs is Crack, picks up a dreadful lead. Skarmory, not what we're looking to see, but thankfully next season, that bird is also getting a huge nerf. We pivot into Pidgeot, baiting out Lantern. Due to the silly electric fishes, electric typing, flying is resisted, but Shadow Pidgeot does not care about typings. If the opponent doesn't respect the second Brave Bird, Pidgeot is going to be able to take back switch. The opponent sends out Skarmory, commit to the Steel Wing farm down, but alignment is ours. We're going to realign, sending Gator out into this Steel Bird. We correctly shield up the Brave Bird. The opponent continues to stay in. T-Dubs farms up a boatload of energy. The opponent rebanks a charge move and catch onto Annihilate. Annihilate instantly puts up that Protect Shield, shielding up the Hydro Cannon. T-Dubs returns the favour, making a very nice catch of his own, catching the Night Slash back onto Venusaur. Thankfully, the opponent gets no luck from the RNG gods, not getting the boost, which means Venusaur can even tank the next Night Slash and reach a Frenzy Plant, and the opponent finds himself in a very problematic position. Where do they burn the final shield? The opponent putting all their hopes and dreams on the back of Skarmory, but unfortunately for this opponent, Feraligatr, doubled up on charge moves. You know the drill. The first Hydro Cannon forces the opponent final Protect Shield, and the second one is going to be all she wrote. GG's, and thanks for playing. In the next battle, we see some Shadow on Shadow Crime, Venusaur into Shadow Gator. The opponent says no thank you, save switch into Gligar, and T-Dubs responds with his Shadow Gator. Alignment isn't all that important for us, as we have two nice answers for Gator. As due to Pidgeot's subnormal typing, we are going to double resist the opposing Gator's quick move of Shadow Claw. We tank the Aerial Ace, over farm, fire off the Hydro Cannon. The opponent doesn't even fight for switch advantage. Back out comes the opposing Gator. T-Dubs gonna fire off the Crunch. If this goes unshielded, Crunch gonna do almost 50% of the health and leave him in the red. We can now send out Venusaur, shield once, respecting a potential Ice Beam, and get the farm down, and it's going to be 2 versus 1. Out comes Annihilate, another Pokemon getting a huge nerf. I honestly still can't believe Counter after all these years is getting nerfed. T-Dubs forces the first protection with the Frenzy Plant, banks a Frenzy Plant and catches onto Pidgeot. The opponent fires off the Night Slash. Once again, we see no boost. T-Dubs able to fire off the Aerial Ace. Aerial Ace should be forcing the final Protect Shield, and we now find ourselves in an unlosable position. As long as T-Dubs saves his final Protect Shield, which he's doing, we physically cannot lose this game. If Annihilate was doubled up on charge moves, Annihilate generally wins CMP in this battle. But as long as we've got a Protect Shield to block the first, we would get the Frenzy Plant off and emerge victorious. Heading into the next battle. Holy cow, T-Dubs. What was your game plan? In case you ever saw one of these things, as we are triple weak to Charger Bug. It looks like step 1 of the plan is land a Frenzy Plant bait, forcing a Protect Shield. X is a hits for neutral. Ouch, that does so much damage. Holy cow. I'm still not really seeing what the plan is, but at least we've got shield advantage. We now send out Pidgeot. Pidgeot not appreciating the Volt Switch damage whatsoever. T-Dubs fires off the Aerial Ace on the CMP tie. And if you look to the left, in case you're wondering why I call it Aerial Ace, that's a prime example. The opponent returns the favour, going for a cheeky masturbating session of their own, meaning Pidgeot's going to be unable to farm down. We're forced to throw the Aerial Ace, securing the knockout. We pivot into Gator, out comes Lickitung, and yeah, I think this one is probably going to be a loss. Although you never know, the opponent might have a heart attack, but outside of that, I think this is looking pretty dire. T-Dubs looking to play it out, correctly shields up the power whip. Okay, that's not a bad start. Unfortunately, despite Hydro Cannon being a ridiculously busted move, Hydro Cannon isn't going to knock out Lickitung, as it has 10 bazillion HP, hence the nickname Licky, far too thicky. The opponent fires off the Body Slam, then send out Annihilate. We are going to fire off the Hydro Cannon, forcing the opponent's final Protect Shield, but Pidgeot is just far too low. The opponent is going to be able to outpace to the Night Slash, and we are going to take a heartbreaking loss. We could say fuck the algorithm, but it is what it is. GG's to that opponent. Heading into the next battle. Oh boy, that's a core breaker. Venusaur can only hit Sandslash for resisted. Speaking of which, Pidgeot also in the same scenario. We send out the mighty Boom Bird. The opponent fires off the Ice Punch, then send out Gator. T-Dubs looking to throw that Hail Mary. Does the opponent respect the damage? They do not. Just like that, the huge core breaker has found itself aligned against the one member of the team that actually does pretty good into it. T-Dubs not messing around, YOLOing yet another Brave Bird. Brave Bird! Oh my days, Pidgeot, take a bow, my friend. You, sir, are getting the send-off you deserve. From an absolutely dreadful spot, T-Dubs now finds himself in the driver's seat. We sealed up the drill run, commit to the Shadow Claw farm down. Outcomes, what else are you expecting to see other than Annihilate? Gator grinning away, almost doubled up on Hydro Cannons. The first Hydro Cannon forces the opponent's first Protect Shield. T-Dubs fires off the next Hydro Cannon, which also is going to go shielded. We now send out Venusaur. Venusaur can even tank a Shadow Ball from full health. T-Dubs dares the opponent to fire off the ball, which they do. We do get counter farmed out, but Gator's going to be healthy enough to come in, reach the Hydro Cannon. We lose CMP. Luckily, we've got a Protect Shield. The opponent probably cursed their luck, thinking, how did I lose this game? Well, the answer is, trainer, fuck about and find out. You show no respect to the Boom Bird, and you're going to take a heartbreaking loss. GG's! Oh man, am I going to miss Shoutcasting Pidgeot next season. In the next battle, we see Venusaur into a Zoom Roll. The opponent opting to stay in. Not something I'd recommend personally. T-Dubs fires off the Frenzy Plant. A Zoom Roll gets one shot vanquished. Back to its Pokeball. Get that silly blue mouse off my screen. The opponent then sends out Flygon. Flygon fires off the Dragon Claw, which simply doesn't get the job done. Venusaur going on an absolute tear up, forcing a Protect Shield. We then see the pivot into the Boom Bird Pidgeot. We see the instant no shield deployed. The opponent fire off the Dragon Claw, which doesn't do all that much damage. T-Dubs farms up to the Brave Bird baits with the Aerial Ace. Aerial Ace goes unshielded, doesn't knock out. We're able to wing attack farm down, which is even better for us. Out comes the Quagman. This time there is no baiting. Does the opponent respect the damage? Oh, boo, Mr. Opponent. Clearly this opponent didn't get the memo, as this is Pidgeot's last glorious hurrah. How dare you shield our Brave Bird. T-Dubs then fires off the Aerial Ace, makes a very nice catch back onto Venusaur, essentially playing with his food at this point. The opponent playing out the Heart Attack win con, but I'm pleased to say T-Dubs is alive and well, as he sent me this battle submission. Again, I'm really not sure why the opponent is wasting our time. They fire off the Aqua Tab, we can send out Gator, Shadow Claw farm down, and take that game. In the next battle again, we see Shadow and Shadow Crime with Venusaur into Gator. The opponent say switches into Licky, far too thicky. Licky might be thick, but Venusaur hits like a truck. Frenzy Plant lands for absurd damage, and we send out Pidgeot, one of the very finest Lickitung answers. The Licks are going to be double resisted. Lickitung does get stabbed on Body Slam, but it doesn't hit all that hard. T-Dubs can tank both these Body Slams, commit to the wing attack farm down, and it's time to go boom in. If Gator does return, it's going to get one shot by a Brave Bird. The opponent actually sends out Charger Bug. We fire off the Brave Bird, which only hits for neutral. The opponent near gets one shot. We send out our own Gator. Look for the Shadow Claw farm down. The opponent not wanting to get farm down, pivot out into their own Gator. We fire off the Hydro Cannon, forcing a Protect Shield. T-Dubs looks to fire off the next one, but loses CMP. T-Dubs happy to invest his first Protect Shield, blocking up the incoming Hydro Cannon, looking to force the final shield. We force the final Protect Shield, then see the pivot into Venusaur. Venusaur with one Protect Shield too high behind. Going to be looking for the one shield. Vine Whip farm all the way down. The opponent YOLO the Ice Beam. We leave with the Sludge Bomb. Fire off the BM. No Bubble Frenzy Plant. And that is going to be all she wrote. GG's and thanks for playing. In the next battle, Venusaur picks up the Dream Lead. Swampert not going to appreciate the smoke. The opponent instantly retreat into the fence Deoxys. The opponent goes straight for the Psycho Boost. I'm actually a big fan of that play. as it forces some early shield advantage. T-Dubs undeterred, invests the Protect Shield, fires off the Frenzy Plant, which goes unshielded, and we can now send out Gator and commit to the Shadow Claw farm down. Psycho Boost, a very hard hitting charge move, but comes with a downside of a 2-stage debuff to your own attack, meaning that Psycho Boost did hardly anything to Gator. Gator leaves insanely healthy. Back out comes poor old Swampert, which finds itself in a very rough spot. The first Hydro Cannon lands, getting them into the red. T-Dubs fires off the next one on the CMP tie. The opponent invests a very questionable shield. I would have just personally 2-shielded whatever they've got in the back. The opponent fires off the Hydro Cannon. They do commit to the Mud Shot farm down. Venusaur looks at that Vine Whip farm down. The opponent pivots out into the Walrus. Oh boy, this is going to get tricky. T-Dub's going to put all his hopes and dreams on the back of Pidgeot. Pidgeot and Walrein are going to pace at the same speed to the respective charge moves of Icicle Sphere and Aerial Ace. One Aerial Ace will remove Walrein from the field of play, but the question is, can we wing attack farm down that Swampert? Swampert is quite low. I'm not sure if it's possible, but we're very quickly going to find out. It's going to be high Walrein, by Walrein. Can Pidgeot get the wing attack farm down? Oh no. Heartbreakingly, we cannot, and the opponent is going to pick up a very nice dub despite hard losing lead. GG's. GBL has a funny old way of telling you what you're weak to. We are very, very weak to Charger Bug, and we now find ourselves seeing the second one in a handful of battles. This opponent, like a savage, even called the Frenzy Plant bait. In fairness, Venusaur and Pidgeot, cut from the same cloth, neither care about typings. That resisted Frenzy Plant did so much damage. T-Dubs then pivots out into Pidgeot. We get baited with the X-Scissor. The opponent kills a poor defenseless cat. Every time you masturbate, a poor defenseless cat loses its life. So think about that next time you're going to go for a horrible masturbating session. T-Dubs looks to remove Charger Bug from the field of play, but the opponent like, no, that's going to cost you 2 Protect Shields. T-Dubs unwilling to go all in on Pidgeot. Looks to save his final Protect Shield for Gator. We send out Gator, look for the Shadow Claw farm down. The opponent enters the mirror. Behind an energy, T-Dubs able to land the Hydro Cannon, which is going to allow him to go for the 1-shield Shadow Claw farm down. It's all going to depend on what the opponent has in the back. T-Dubs has a lot of factors to take into account here. The opponent has a Protect Shield and Charger Bug as a potential third shield. We've also got Venusaur as a third shield. Out comes Annihilate. We fire off the Hydro Cannon, forcing the opponent's final Protect Shield. We then pivot out into Venusaur. The opponent doesn't make that catch. We reach the Frenzy Plant. Get that Annihilate off my screen. Back out comes Charger Bug. We're able to Vine Whip farm down and take that game. Very, very nicely done. In the next battle, we see the ever-annoying, stupid Marshmallow in the lead. The opponent opting to stay in, so they've probably got Bastiodon and Victory Bell in the back. If I had to hazard a guess, T-Dubs throws the Frenzy Plant. The opponent, of course, invests that protection. When you're on Wigglytuff, you pretty much shield everything. Tap, 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 shield, tap, 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 and try and force alignment. Venusaur, due to our sub-poison typing, does resist Charm, but we are rapidly running out of HP. T-Dubs fires off the next Frenzy Plant. The opponent looks for that tap, tap, nonsense. Charm down, farm down, but Venusaur says no, reaches the Frenzy Plant. Come on, trainer, show us that toxic nonsense backline. Out comes Victory Bell. Hi, Victory Bell. Meet Pidgeot. Bastiodon enters the field of play, and we have the perfect answer in the form of our Shadow Gator. The opponent looking to force alignment, but unfortunately for this opponent, if you didn't know that Shadows aren't just here to take part, they're here to take over. Gator fires off the back-to-back Hydro Cannon, securing the knockout. Out comes Victory Bell. They do get the Razor Leaf farm down, but Pidgeot is going to be able to reach the Aerial Ace, and this Aerial Ace is going to look much more like a Brave Bird. We go for the full no bubble, force some BM, wing attack farm down, and take that game. There is honestly nothing more satisfying than beating that dumbass brain-dead team. I'm very pleased to announce, if you didn't know, that both SmackDown and Razor Leaf are getting nerfed next season. In the next battle, we see Venusaur into Gator. The opponent's like, no thank you, and say switch into Cresselia. Cresselia might think it's very bulky, but Frenzy Plant puts a huge dent in its HP. T-Dubs shield, fearful of a potential future sight. It looks like the opponent doesn't have it as they fire off the Moonblast. I highly doubt this is a future sight either, as who the hell doesn't run Grass Knot in the Great League? Cresselia fires off another Moonblast. T-Dubs banks the Frenzy Plant for the road. We see the pivot into Gator, getting the snipe and a very nice running start. The opponent now enters the mirror behind an energy. Gator grinning away, fires off the Hydro Cannon. Hydro Cannon goes unshielded. T-Dubs can also tank the opposing Hydro Cannon, and that's exactly what he looks to do. Gator left into the red, however able to reach one further Hydro Cannon, and ball is in the opponent's court. The opponent just sacked Gator, send out Bastiodon, getting a very nice running start, and that is going to be a huge yikes, and we're going to concede the match. In the next battle, we see Shadow and Shadow crime, but definitely not the sort of crime we are looking to commit. Golbat able to fully wall all of Venusaur's charge moves, and speaking of fully walling, out comes a silly electric fish to greet our Pidgeot. This opponent, not looking to make the same mistake the last one did, opt to throw the surf, which means Pidgeot is going to be unable to reach the back-to-back Brave Birds required to flip this matchup. Pidgeot fires off the Aerial Ace, but unfortunately, we get Lantern in the red. We do not manage to realign. We now send out Gator, look to get a running start. We are going to respect the Thunderbolt. They're only going to reach one move, so there really is no point in baiting. We do commit a Protect Shield. The opponent now sends out Nidoqueen. Gator, you have so much work ahead of yourself. But if any Pokemon in the Great League can pull off a miracle, you might be that Mon. The opponent completely sacked Nidoqueen, putting all the hopes and dreams on the back of a 2-shield bat. We force a Protect Shield and see T-Dubs try and pull off some shenanigans, catching onto Venusaur, but unfortunately I don't think that saves us. The opponent's going to get a massive wing attack farm down. Venusaur is going to reach the Departing Frenzy Plant, but this is double resisted due to both flying and poison resisting grass. The opponent farms up to the double poison fang. T-Dubs recognise the game's over, going to tank the charge move, and we're going to end the video on a heartbreaking loss. Huge shout out to T-Dubs' crack for submitting one final battle submission with the mighty Boom Bird, Shadow Pidgeot. RIP buddy, it's been fun while it lasted. So if you're enjoying the content, smash that like button. If you're new, consider subscribing. If like T-Dubs, you'd like your battles featured on my channel, a link to a battle submission form is down below. And as always, a huge thank you to everyone for watching, and I'll see you all in the next one.